Okay, good evening. Today we are starting with the project stakeholders. Yesterday we talked about the sponsor, and I did talk about that the sponsor. Sponsors could be many for the project, but from the normal point of view, there could be many people who can affect the project in a way that they are making decisions for the project, they are allocating funds, they are making the funds available, making the resources available. All these people who are affecting in a big way the project, these all are the sponsors. But from project management point of view, we do not want to have so many sponsors pitched in front of the project manager. That's why I said that for projects, there should be one single person responsible to be the project sponsor, as if he can give approvals, permissions, approvals, and fundings, resources, whatever decisions he has to give. Only one person should. Although behind this one person, which I call the project sponsor, there is a group of people which you may call the other sponsors or the key stakeholders, which can be organized in form of a project board, and they can actually be making all those decisions. But naturally, project manager do not have to run after each one of those key stakeholders or sponsors. So there is only one project sponsor. Now, the second major role here is the major stakeholder here is the customer or the user. In some of the cases, rather most of the cases, customer and user is used interchangeably. The person who is a customer might be he is a user as well, and most of the cases it is so, but they are two different people also. Like, customer is the one who actually places the order with you, for whom you are working, for whom you are doing this project, for whom you are producing this product. He may not be the user of the product. He may just be an intermediary who is ordering this thing and who may have to supply it further on to someone. And ultimately, the user would be the person who will be the person who would be directly utilizing it, who will be actually the user of that product. So it is very much possible that between the customer and user, there is a complete supply chain. There could be a retailer and this and that, whatever. So all these people from customer to user are a complete chain which all are stakeholders. Complete chain which all are stakeholders. Speaker. Hello? Okay. Very strange. Okay. So a whole of this chain from customer to user, whether this is one and the same person, are there two people, are there many people between customer and user, all of them, no matter they are internal or external, they are our stakeholders. They are key stakeholders. As I said, there may be multiple layers of customers, complete chain. And we also understand customer and user sometimes may be used synonymously, all right. And as the definition says, customer refers to the entity acquiring the project's product, and user refers to the to those who will directly utilize the project's product. Okay. Similarly, there is yet another concept very synonymously being used. There is a seller and the business partner. Again, it can be used synonymously, but they may be completely two different entities. Like, who is the seller? From the project management point of view, anyone who acquires the services is the buyer, and who provides the services or the product is the seller. If we are providing the services or the product to a customer, then we are the seller and the customer is the buyer. If we are outsourcing a part of our project to some subcontractor, that subcontractor is our seller and we are for him the buyer. So again, there could be a complete hierarchy: buyer, seller, buyer, seller, buyer, seller. The seller could be buyer for another seller and so on and so forth. But it could be a complete chain. But anyways, like, we have contract, subcontract, subcontract, and things like that. So the person our entity who is acquiring the services is buyer, and who is providing the services is seller. Now, these sellers could be classified into many ways. They could be providing you the raw materials. They could be providing you the services or products, ready-made products, or they are making products for you, or they can be providing you the consultant services. As there are several types of contracts, so there are several types of contractors are the sellers. We can call them, in some cases we call them vendors, sometimes we call them suppliers, sometimes we call them contractors, and naturally for good reason, because vendor is the one from whom you take the thing directly from the source. Supplier who provides you something at your place, and contractor could be who builds something or develops something for you. Anyways, whatever you call them, they all are sellers. And sellers are usually the external entities or companies that enter into a contractual agreement with the buyer. And that for what purpose? To provide some component or service necessary for the project. So essentially here we are talking about what kind of stakeholders? We are talking about the subcontractors, or these are the sellers, which the project is the buyer, or the project manager is the buyer, and these are the subcontractors who are providing us these services. Now, sometimes we call them business partners as well. Maybe, out of respect or honor, that is okay. And initially I used to think that it is just to give them more honor. But essentially, a business partner is almost a different role. Um, can you tell me something, what is the difference between a seller and a business partner?
Seller is someone who doesn't have a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Business partner would be someone who is into the business with you, growing together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
May not be a partner in your business.
Right.
He is partner in the business value chain.
Okay. Let's look at it from this direction. Can seller be your business partner?
Yes, he can be.
Okay. Should we try to make the seller our business partner?
Yes, of course we should try.
Exactly.
That's a value. There's a relationship.
There's a relationship. So because there is no relationship as such between the buyer and seller, buyer has his own objective, seller has his own objective, and naturally, when you ask for bids, the seller comes up with very fantastic proposals. He will pluck the stars out of the sky and everything for you. But after the contract is signed, then he is complete stranger. Whenever you ask him to do something, he says, well, it is not covered under the contract, so I'll not do it. So the relationship completely changes after the contract. And that is the problem with the seller. The seller has got different objectives and you have got different objectives. To align these objectives, as you said, to add the value to the relationship, we create a relationship and add a value to that, this must be considered that can we convert this seller or contractor into a business partner in a way that his interests are tied with our interests and our interests are tied with his interests. That way probably he would be contributing to the best of your project, for the best of your project. So how can you do it? Have you ever tried doing it? Like with Chinese or whatever?
Yes, yeah. I have tried doing it in PMI.
Mm-hmm.
So you used to sell aircraft and market the aircraft to the world around for worldwide customers.
Mm-hmm.
We used to develop sales agents over there.
Right.
And they were not our, sellers or buyers relationship. That was an agency relationship in which we used to grow them. We used to give them technical knowledge, know-how. We used to give them special incentives.
What kind of incentives were they? They profited out of it or what?
They were, they were more or less, partners in the business.
So they were incentivized.
They were incentivized in a manner that some things are confidential, but they were given quite a lot of leeway in
right.
things.
Wonderful. So that is probably the way. How can we convert our buyer-seller relationship into a more binding relationship like a business partner? And that is exactly how, I can also quote an example for you. When we were doing the project of Nadra, initially government was not ready to, initially the plan was that whole of this project and whatever it was to be done on the government resource. And that was a promise of the Prime Minister, then Nawaz Sharif, earlier time. He promised the public that out of the census, whatever data is collected in those, in the census form, there was a place where you could have applied for your ID card. So there was no formal uh, need for reapplying or doing anything. Your census form was your ID card application. So whomsoever had applied for the ID card would automatically be given free ID card out of that, right? So that was the commitment of the government. It was free. And earlier, if you remember, earlier ID cards which were manually made, they were free of cost, right? So that was a commitment. Later on, what happened was that after the census and everything, um, government was not ready to spend this money. And they were lingering. This PML Nawaz government was lingering on the project. Project was being delayed and unnecessarily no funding being allocated and things like that. Then government changed. Musharraf came up and we called him and we asked him what to do. He said, okay, we don't have anything to give you. We just can give you the organizational expenditure, which of whatever salaries and all. But for the project, we have zero, nothing for you. So we said, okay, if you have nothing for us and you still want us to give ID cards to the people, then they have to be charged. Naturally, we said, okay, charge them. So we came up with a mechanism that by which we could charge the citizens and then ultimately pay for this. But the problem was the project was to be done earlier and cards were to be sold later. How could we make it possible? How could we do it? So, and beforehand, we already had selected the contractors and everything, and they were, asking for the payment to start the work. So that was according to the contract buyer-seller relationship, and they were ready to put penalties and all that, and we were not really in any position. So at that time, although we used to call them partners or business partners from the very beginning, and that was the time when I thought that this is just for ornamental reasons that we are calling them business partners. But actually, it was not so. We were developing a relationship with them. And that was the time when we went back to them and we asked them, well, we are business partners, we have agreed to do this thing, and apart from contract, we have a relationship, right? So what if government doesn't pay you anything? This is a huge project. Government has committed that people will pay for their ID cards and money will come and you will get the money. Why don't we come up with such a relationship that you do not come up earn a fixed amount from these projects? You rather become our partner, invest yourself into the project and take a share out of it, and which will be grand share out of it. We were assigned to develop 65 million cards. That simply means 1 rupee out of a card means 65 million rupees. For any contractor, that is a huge amount. And they are not going to earn 1 rupee per card. There were 8 different contractors. They had different jobs. Somebody was to scan, somebody was to, data enter, somebody was to develop the cards, somebody had to put data into the database, somebody had to cater for the networking, somebody had to manage the data warehousing, and so on and so forth. There were 8 different contractors for that. So when we put this up, they were very enthusiastic. So here starts our business partner relationship. They were very enthusiastic. They were ready to invest everything. And not only that, after taking their interest out of it or whatever, share out of it, they were ready to leave whole of the equipment on the name of Nadra. No rights. just like BOT, build, operate and transfer, the property of Nadra. That was too pleasing for us. That was something we really desired, and that was the foundation we wanted to establish for Nadra. So that was done. That was agreed. That these shares will be distributed and all that. The biggest share was with the ID card person. ID card was, then awarded to Hashwani Group. There were two out of the 8 contracts were given to Hashwani Group, and one was ID card and other was scanning. The main, money generating item was ID card. For each card, 65 million cards, they had a major share out of it. So everybody was interested for that, but they were selected. So what they came up with an idea while we were finalizing the contracts, that they were not interested in scanning, they just wanted 2 ID cards. Because in scanning they were earning about 1 or 2 rupees a form, and here they were earning about 10 rupees a card. So that was a huge difference. Although the forms and cards were of the similar number, 65 million. But they were not really interested in the scanner. So we took a decision that if they don't do this, they don't get that. So either you take both or you run away. And after a lot of discussion, they finally ran away. They ran away. They were huge players. And they were playing tactics with us. Anyways, they ran away. They just wanted the cards. I said, okay. Now that was, they were so rich and so big a company that the other 6 companies, their legs started shaking. If Ashwani couldn't stand it, how can we, right? So another contractor, which was the national engineers, he was looking after he was to look after the networking of the whole project. His legs started shaking and he also ran away. So we were bogged down completely.
It was supposed to be spread over across Pakistan.
Whole of the Pakistan and abroad also.
And you had to have
the whole infrastructure.
Nadra had to give the accommodation and all.
No, not really the accommodation. Yes, of course, for the project, whatever space is required for data entry and all that, yes, Nadra had to give that, and we did. We did.
Who was to supply provide the workers? Pay them for their accommodation and all.
That was all with the contractor.
So
we had nothing, no liability, but we had to organize everything. So at that time, we were being pressurized from the higher up, Musharraf, that why don't you give it to Fauji Foundation, because they were actually going in loss. And so what happened was they were invited to take over our job, like managing the whole thing. They couldn't qualify for that, and we were left in a very difficult position because 3 of the major contractors ran away. We were left with only 5, and if we couldn't really catch up, the whole project backs up. We did come up with an alternative. The international firms who were with those contractors, we contacted them, and we actually were about to get down with them on the job. But that was the time when Musharraf came up with another idea. He said, if their Fauji Foundation is not going to manage the whole thing, give them the ID cards. Without any contract, without anything, they were given the ID cards, despite all our resistance and everything. So once that was given, so they became our business partner, the same thing. Anyway, that is another story what happened later, but basically now these contractors wanted, these business partners wanted, they wanted to invest all right, but they wanted some mobilization advance, just to be sure that government is really invested. They didn't want to invest in something new. Government said only sovereign guarantees can be given. They said no, we don't want sovereign guarantees. Sovereign guarantees worth nothing. So again we were standing at the same spot. we had no money. We couldn't give them anything, not even an iota, 1 or 5% or whatever advance they were wanting. We couldn't give them. So we came up with another idea. This is the story of evolution of the whole thing. We came up with another idea. We made another kind of partner. We went to the financial institution, the banks, and we asked them to pull up the money for us and lend us the money. The money was so much that not a single bank alone was capable of doing that. So many banks got together, another 4 or 5 banks got together, and the financial institution was established, and we got into a business partnership with them, a contract with them, and they loaned us money for the mobilization, which was to be paid immediately after, we started receiving money. Then we got back to our other business contractors, partners, and we told them, you will not get any money until and unless our loan is cleared. Got it?
The loan is?
We took the loan from the banks. We gave that money to the contractors as their mobilization advanced, and told them, you will not get any more money until and unless we repay the banks. Okay. Done. Once that is done, then you will start getting your money, and ultimately after whatever period the objective is met, your money is paid, then we are on contract ends, and then we keep functioning on our own. That is exactly what happened. So without a single penny in government coffers, we started off with this project without any money at all. Took the loan, started the project, they mobilized all the machinery and everything, paid the banks back, paid these guys back, project was finished, converted into operation, and all the machinery and everything was property of Nadra. That is a classic example. That is a classic example. That institution which we established, if it is standing today on its own feet, it is just to do that. No investment from government. So that was the key. That is how we can use business partnership in so many different flavors, and we can benefit our organizations that way. I give the credit for these ideas to so many people who actually worked with us at that time, and especially these vendors, these business partners we had. They were very understanding. And one of those guys I just did mention to you, the head of Nokia Siemens, and now he's the head of JPS, Mr. Wakarul Islam. He was then heading NCR, which later split into NCR and Data and all that. So very nice people, very professional people. Anyways, next we have got organizational groups. Organizational groups are internal stakeholders who are affected by the activities of the project team, and these are whom we have already talked about them in our organizational stakeholders. You remember in the first chapter we talked about, so these guys from our own organization, not all of the department, but whomsoever has any interest in our project, has anything to do with our project, they will become our project stakeholders as well. Then we have functional managers. Out of the functional managers, some of the functional managers naturally would be our stakeholders. Some of the operational managers will be our stakeholders. Operational functions, I have already defined the difference between the two. Unlike functional managers, operational managers deal directly with the producing and maintaining the saleable product service of the enterprise. Whatever is a core business, they are the people who are the manufacturers, producers, who actually do the dirty work of the business. They are the operations people. And functional managers are cosmetics and organization, administration, that kind of things. Other stakeholders could be procurement entities, financial institutions, as we had banks in our case, government regulators. Naturally, we had Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Finance, and so many other people sitting right on our head in Nadra. subject matter experts. Now, for subject matter experts, that was a fantastic experience. I can relate everything from there. It's not changed. Okay. Okay. Let me tell you now how we dealt with the subject matter experts. I'm talking about 17 years back. So we were quite young at that time. So at that time, when we were at the helm of affairs and we had to come up with the people, naturally we did not have any knowledge of this kind of project. This kind of project was never done in this part of the world, whole of the Asia. Even worldwide, this was a unique project because this big database, a data warehouse, there was only one in the world, and that was Walmart. At that time, it was 4 terabyte. Today, 4 terabyte is just like this small little disk, right? But at that time, 4 terabyte was something huge. So we actually needed how much? 8 terabytes. Our database was at that point supposed to be 8 terabytes, and there was nobody to supply that kind of thing. So we needed experts. We were not the experts naturally. So what we did was we selected the industry experts in the IT from all over the Pakistan through proper competitive mechanism, and we did not make them consultants. We make them advisors. We segregated the advisors and the consultants, and the classification was which we built was advisors were old people who have old experiences and everything, white-haired guys and all that. And for consultants, we made it mandatory that they have to be young people, fresh and experienced, uh, till middle career people. So that was a very good strategy because the people sitting in the advisory, capacity were, giving us general advice and all that, and they were helping us. They were not preparing any documents. They were not writing anything down, but they were advising us or giving us suggestions. This should be done this way. The wisdom came from them. And consultants, we further subdivided our consultants into 2 parts. One were the long-term consultants and one were the short-term consultants. Short-term consultants were those who were to prepare the initial plans for us before the contractors came into action. Contractors were nowhere to be seen at that point in time when we selected the consultants. So first we selected short-term consultants who brainstormed with us and developed the plans for each and every area in detail, based on which our procurement documents, RFPs, independent estimates and everything was created, and based on which the contracts, negotiations and everything went on. And once the contracts were awarded, we then selected long-term consultant for the operational period of the project. Those long-term consultants would have to run with us throughout the life of the project. And short-term consultant job was to be finished on the award of the contract.
The life of the project.
For the life of the project.
Not for the operations.
Not for the operations. For life of the project, because we had to, our target was 65 million cards and their database and everything, affiliated things, all networking and all that. So till the project finishes, this consultant team would remain with us. And after that, there would be a smart transaction from project to operations. Project will finish, everything done, and operations will take over. That's exactly what happened. That is the beauty of it. If you can do what you promise, you commit, you have earned your value. That's exactly what happened. Things were transferred to the operations, and this project was backed. Consultant went home. All the team, the people who were working on the project, they either were merged into the operations because it was a kind of a projectized structure. There was this project is no more, that structure is no more. So everything finished, vanished. Then the project directorate kept taking more projects. All new ideas, birth certificates, another project was started. For passports, another project was started. and that way Nadra started, growing up, and they started, uh, creating products and transferring them, either merging them into themselves as operations or transferring them to whatever department they needed. We did the electoral rolls also, transferred them to the election commission. It was a fantastic period, as far as most volatile period of my life, where every time something was happening. So that was the time when we were actually into it. So these all people we came across were our consultants, stakeholders. And interestingly, though we were practicing, as I'm saying things to you and quoting my experiences, we did experience each and everything. But to tell you the truth, uh, the project management knowledge as per PMBOK, I was not even aware of that. And probably I was the only person who was most, well versed with all these techniques there. I was a technical lead in all of that and other thing. The people sitting up there, the chairman and the 2-3 people above me, they were all non-technical. So all the technical designs and everything came through me. And I myself did not know what PMI is, what PMI was. And still, and why I got impressed with PMI was because whatever I was doing, maybe not in a proper framework, but I was doing everything what PMI was saying. I did everything. I had experience of doing everything. So that interested me a lot. It's very fantastic. This is written exactly how I am. The only little tweaking is required. That kind of thing. Otherwise, you were doing it. And that was not my first project. I actually was involved in similar kind of initiatives before. We actually set up a huge system in Pakistan Army for digital mapping and geographic information system. And that was again the similar kind of initiative. I mean to say, we started it right from the initio, right from the conception, and there it was. It was implemented and it is existing. The best part of a project is, if it sustains, it is a successful project. So that project is also sustaining till today. Nadra is also sustaining till today. And, that is the only success you can count in your career. So naturally, you have to come across all these kind of stakeholders and you have to take account of those. Okay. Portfolio managers and portfolio review board, naturally, in an organization, these should exist. Although in Nadra we did not have these kind of concepts, but yes, portfolio manager should be there. There should be some mechanism, and whatever, if there is a portfolio manager, or whether it is not a portfolio manager, whatever you call that guy who looks after these aspects, the investment decision making, this guy is your stakeholder. And what he is going to look at, he is going to look at the feasibilities, the return on investment, the value of the project, the risk associated, other attributes, resource sharing, and all these things as we studied in portfolio. So portfolio manager is also one of your stakeholders. If it is a... Oh my God, what's nonsense. Okay. Then we have the program managers. Although program managers, we have difficulty in our organizations to understand what a program is and what a project is. Therefore, generally speaking, we use these two terms synonymously and we don't understand them. And I try my level best whenever I provide any consultancy to anyone to make this difference apparent to them. But anyways, if your project is part of a program, program manager is definitely your stakeholder. Not only stakeholder, he is your sponsor. For a project manager, the program manager is a sponsor. But if there is no program manager on top of him, then still there is a project sponsor existing. Somebody has to take on the responsibility of the project sponsor. But in case of a program manager is by default the project sponsor for all his projects. And I hope you understand that a project sponsor can look after more than one project. So that's how you can have one director looking after 5, 10, 20 projects. But that does not make that director or that sponsor a program manager. Because for a program manager, the condition is they have to be interrelated projects and they have to be contributing towards the business benefits, program benefits and the program strategy. PMO, if existing in your organization, by default becomes a stakeholder for all those projects and programs which are being run under its domain. Why I'm saying under its domain? Because PMOs can exist anywhere. Organizational PMO, departmental PMO, program PMO, project PMO. It could be anywhere. So whatever is its domain, all the projects and programs starting within that domain, PMO is always the stakeholder. So PMO, project manager is a stakeholder, naturally big stakeholder because he is actually looking after everything. Project manager are assigned by performing organization, and this job is, as I hope you understand, is the most challenging job. It's a high profile job, no matter how small a project manager you are, but you are exposed to the highest ranking people. Whomsoever visits and sees and comes, you will be presented in front of that guy, and this is high profile with significant responsibility and shifting priorities. Shifting priorities because stakeholders keep changing their mind, and you have to keep a balance between them. अभी okay.
अब आई है पीएमओ वाली साइड।
पीएमओ वाली अभी आई है। माय गॉड, ये कहाँ रह जाती है? लगता है आपके नेटवर्क में ऐसे करके फंस जाती है।
पता नहीं, अब आई है पीएमओ वाली।
ओके,
आप इसे देखिए चलेंगे।
मैं पीएमओ से आगे हूँ। प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजर्स आगे। ओके, इसमें मैं बात कर रहा था, project manager has certain capability. He has to be highly flexible. We do not need a stubborn guy as a project manager because project managers have to, it's a liquid character. He has to be, with every stakeholder. He has to be abiding by whatever the needs and expectations of all the stakeholders are. At the same time, he must have a very good judgment. Very good judgment. Decision-making power, instantaneous decisions, and very well thought out decisions. So he should be a very strong leader, very good negotiation skills, and a solid knowledge of project management practices. He will only be confident about his project if he has good knowledge of project management. A project manager must be able to understand project details, but manage from overall project perspective. This is very, very important that we do not micromanage into our subordinates area. So he should understand what his subordinates are doing, but he should, just be able to manage them, not interfere with them. And this is true for any level. Project sponsor should not micromanage into project manager's affairs. The top level executive should not micromanage into sponsor's affairs. So the project manager's responsibility, he is the person responsible for the success of the project. A project manager is in charge of all aspects of the project, including developing the project plans, and, including all the component plans, keeping the project on track. Are you with me on this slide?
Yes.
These project manager responsibilities.
Yes.
हाँ तो भी, लेकिन इधर कोई और मसला भी, यहाँ मसला है। अच्छा, एक तो he has to develop the plans. Once their plans are properly developed, then in execution he has to perform them according to the plan and also keep checking whether we are exactly on track or not. And naturally we will not be on track due to lot many uncertainties and other reasons. So we will have to keep our project, bring our project back on track wherever we face any uncertainty, any difference, any change from the plan, and naturally amend the plan accordingly. The plan is, evolutionary. As we face the uncertainties, as more facts get revealed, we progressively keep elaborating and we keep fixing our plan and bringing our project back on track. In the process, we keep identifying new risks, we keep monitoring them, responding to them, and ultimately provide accurate and timely reporting of whatever project metrics we had already decided. Importance, as we already said, this is the person who is in front of everybody in the line of fire. So project manager is the lead person responsible for communicating with all stakeholders. A very sensitive job. He will be pitched in front of every stakeholder, particularly the big stakeholders like project sponsor, then dealing with his team and other key stakeholders. Project manager occupies the center of the interaction, center of the stage, between the stakeholder and the project itself. So he has to be working on two platforms. One is dealing with his own team, other is dealing with his stakeholders, outside stakeholders. Project team, another stakeholder. Project team, what do we mean when we say project team? Project team means there is a group of people which include the project manager, which include the people who are helping project manager in planning and supervising, and people who are actually working on the project. So everyone in the project is project team. And within the project team, if we leave out the worker class, then we are left with project management team. That includes the project manager and his supervisory staff. Team is comprised of individuals from different groups with knowledge of a specific subject matter or with a specific set who carry out the work of the project. So that's all about the stakeholders. Again, coming back to the governance we started talking earlier. As we already understand, this is an oversight function. We want to kind of monitor how the governance, whatever we have set up, the mechanism, the rules and regulations we have set up, are they being followed or not? So I have to have a policing function, oversight function. So project governance is an oversight function that is aligned with the organizational governance model. Project governance is aligned with the organizational governance model, and that encompasses the project life cycle. So on the one side, it is in accordance with the organizational governance, and on the other side, it is tailored around the project life cycle. And what is the project life cycle? Naturally, project manager will tell his management, his sponsor or whomsoever is creating the governance mechanism, that these are the points you can come and check me. These are my milestones, and this is the point when I will be delivering this. So I will be presenting you this thing. So please come and check. So these are the major milestones which are defined by the project life cycle. Project life cycle must be decided. And we discussed earlier that project life cycle, it is not really necessary that project life cycle is to be designed within the project. Sometimes organizations have pre-set project life cycles for the projects. They are advised that this kind of project, you should have this kind of project life cycle. Your project can be divided into these many parts. But remember, project life cycle, we'll study project life cycle in a bit. Project life cycle does not mean that we are talking about initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, and control and closing. Those are the process groups. Those are not the project phases, and they does not constitute to be the project life cycle. Project life cycle means the project phases, and project phases must be designed according to the work of the project. If you're doing construction, then construction work has to be segregated into several portions of work, and each portion has to be essentially sequential to other. First we will acquire the land and do the other arrangements before we can start digging, right? So this much job, whatever has to be done before digging, is my one phase. Maybe then I say before we start the superstructure of the building, we must do the underground work, which maybe the basements, the foundations, and all that. So that could be another phase. Then you say we will put up the grey structure or the superstructure, and that could be the third phase. And once the superstructure is there, then we will do the finishing touches, and which is the plastering and finishing and furnishing and all that, doors and windows and everything. And then maybe the handover can be the fifth phase. So whatever, off the hook, I just gave you 5 phases of construction. So there could be different phases for software development, could be different phases for web development, different phases for your mechanical work you do.
And every phase would have the 5 processes.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. Because every phase will be treated as a project and will have to deliver our product. At the end of the phase, some deliverable will be there.
In every phase.
In every phase. And that would be treated as a small little project. And that will have to be initiated, planned, executed, monitored, and closed. Every phase will have its own charter. Every phase will have its own charter. Although the project will have, yes. Although the project has its charter, but every phase has its charter. Charter is an authorization to go ahead with this job. And this is where the governance comes into play. The project sponsor is the one who signs it off. You start this job, you finish this job. He will approve when the phase is finished. If he doesn't approve, you can't move it. You are stuck. So this is the control, the governance oversight function. This is the control sponsor has on the project. Project manager will tell what are my deadlines and what are my major outputs and what are my phases. And on end of every phase, the project team or project board or whoever is sponsor, they will come and they will have this oversight function. They will approve and only then you will move forward. This we'll discuss in phases in project life cycle. Anyways, so you see how governance, project governance relates to the organizational governance as well as to the oversight function, the project life cycle. Project governance framework provides project manager and team with structure, process, decision-making models and tools for managing the project while supporting and controlling the project for successful.
This is very disturbing. कुछ सामने में देखने को कुछ और होता है.
अभी कुछ और है?
आप कुछ और बोल रहे होते हैं. It becomes a problem for being able to catch it up.
आप मुझे साथ बता दिया करें.
मुझे सर इसका बीच
बता दिया नहीं हम क्योंकि वो फिर अभी हम प्रोजेक्ट गवर्नेंस की स्लाइड पे हैं.
Project governance की what is project governance?
What is it? No. Second point. Project governance framework provides project manager and team with structure. No, whatever the organizational project governance framework we have established, these will be the phases and this how it will be checked. So this provides us a structure. And how will we check it? Processes, decision making model, who will approve, who will not approve, how will he approve, what tools he will use for managing the project while supporting and controlling the project for successful delivery. So if we pass through these stages properly, according to the governance framework, we will be leading towards the success of the project. Project governance is a critical element of any project, especially on complex, risky projects. ये सब फिर गायब हो जाएगा थोड़ी देर के लिए. अच्छा, थर्ड पॉइंट सर असल मेरा मसला ये है कि आपकी स्कीम में नजर आ रही है जो आप कर रहे हैं मुझे नजर तो आ रहा है. आई एम नॉट रियली श्योर कि वो भी काम ऐसे करेगा क्योंकि ये बीच में जो डिस्टर्बेंस आ रही है ये आ रही है कुछ नेट की है और कुछ हमारे एप्लीकेशंस की है. टीम वेयर में भी थोड़ा सा रिफाइन कर दे चीज़ों को, लेकिन ये टूल वही इस्तेमाल किया होता है इन्होंने भी. स्क्रीन शेयरिंग का टूल इन्होंने वही इस्तेमाल किया होता है मगर वो जिस पैकेट्स में जाता है उसमें शायद थोड़ी गड़बड़ होती है. एनीवेज, तो गवर्नेंस इज अ क्रिटिकल एलिमेंट of any project, especially on complex and risky project. You see, although project governance matters a lot, but it will the importance of project governance might not be visible in simple projects, small projects. But when you are dealing with something complex, then this project governance is going to be of great use for you, because then it is, making you have better control over things. Everything is properly checked and checked out and everything, permissions given, granted, all that. Although in small project we can do all the things verbally. Yes, okay, I've allowed you to do that. But this becomes very important, it becomes critical when we are dealing with complex and risky projects. अभी आ रही है स्क्रीन नजर आ रही है? It provides अच्छा आखिरी point it provides a comprehensive, consistent method of controlling the project, as I said, ensuring its success by defining and documenting and communicating reliable, repeatable project practices. अभी आ रहे हैं? आ रही है? अभी आई नेक्स्ट नहीं आई? अब आई नेक्स्ट? देखा ना, ये इसको ये बीमारी है. भी आएगी. ये कुछ मेरा ख्याल है बार बार मैसेज भी आ रहा है, नेटवर्क कनेक्शन ये वो, तो शायद उसकी वजह से भी कुछ गड़बड़ करता है. आगे कि नहीं? Okay, context, it includes a framework for making project decisions. So we have come to the conclusion that whatever the governance we are talking about, it is for making better project decisions. Defines for the success of the project the roles, responsibilities and accountabilities. Determine the effectiveness of the project manager. Our project governance is defined by and fits within the larger context of the program, portfolio, program and organization sponsoring it, but is separate from organizational governance. It is not organizational governance, but umbrella, under umbrella, and ultimately the project. So the governance is being translated down to the project governance level. PMO for project governance, PMO may also play some decisive role. Project governance involves stakeholders as well as documented policies, procedures and standards, responsibilities, authorities, as we just discussed. So PMO can play a very important role in helping us establish project governance. Like I said, project management system can be devised and developed by PMO, which can be instrumental in developing the project governance and project management plans later. So if the project management system is in place, project governance can easily be defined in accordance with that. We have the project management system, which also defines what kind of project life cycle would be there. So it is all given already. So we will just cut and paste into project governance and we will move ahead with that. Yes and no. PMO may not exist, and even if it exists, do not give him that much authority and power that he is doing everything. He is not doing everything. But we discussed PMO in quite a bit of detail that it can do this, it can do this, it can, depending upon the authority you give him. If you tell this PMO that you are only supporting PMO, he doesn't have any decision power. But as much power you give to the PMO, so that to that level of detail it can provide something. So if PMO is kind of not really directive, I would say, supportive, and there is one other type, directive, supportive, yeah, controlling. So controlling is too much. If it is a directing type of a PMO, then he is making all these documents and procedures and all that, maybe project management system, project management software and all that, those kind of things, PMIS, project management information system. So that kind of PMO would be doing all those things. So there are a lot many things it can help you develop, but naturally it is a consultation office also for all the project managers. Project managers or project sponsors can turn back to PMO for guidance, because the more wise people, more experienced project managers would be sitting down there. Method within those constraints, as well as that additional limitation of time and budget, It is up to the project manager and the project team to determine the most appropriate method of carrying out the project. Now, as far as the governance was concerned, that was somebody else's domain. Project sponsor, project board, or whoever. They were the people deciding it, not even PMO. PMO was providing support, help documents to them, guidelines to them to make it convenient for them to select a governance structure. Now, the method, how we will go about our project, that is not the job of governance. That is the job of the project manager and his team. So within the project, remaining under that governance guideline, whatever is done is the responsibility of the project team and the project manager. While project governance is the framework in which the project team performs, team is still responsible for all aspects: planning, executing, controlling, closing, everything which is to be done within the project. It is not even written project manager, it is written project team performs. So the responsibility of choosing what processes to do, how to do them, what method you use, tools and techniques used, this all is a decision of the project team. And actually project team includes the project manager also. But it does not say project manager, it says project team. So it's a collective responsibility, it's a teamwork. Project governance approach should be described in the project management plan. So there it is. Project governance approach should be described in the project management plan. So project management plan is an input into the project governance. Projects will be governed according to what the project management plan outlays. I want to do this project in 5 phases. Okay, 5 phases, we'll check you according to these 5 phases. So governance structure will be in accordance with your project management plan. Decisions are made regarding who will be involved. Now these are the points from the governance point of view. For everything we are going to do in the project, who will be involved? What if that matter cannot be resolved? What is the escalation procedure? Issue escalation. Naturally there will be issues. What resources are necessary? And the general approach to completing the work. These are few questions you have to answer to your superiors. Another important consideration is whether more than one phase will be involved or not. How many phases? And by the way, what would be those phases? How many phases? And what would be the names of those phases? Because this is the most important information for governance. Lastly, the project success. Nature. Since projects are temporary in nature, can you see project success? Since projects are temporary in nature, the success of the project should be measured in terms of completing the project within the constraints of scope, time, cost, quality, resource, risk, whatever. So when we talk about constraints, please correct yourself. There are not only 3 constraints as it used to be said in earlier standards or earlier books. Earlier books said there is a triple constraint: scope, time and cost. Scope, time and cost are important, but they are not the only constraints. We have quality, we have resource, we have risk, we have so many other things which could be the constraints. To ensure realization of benefits for the undertaken project. So here it highlights that projects are also being undertaken for realization of some benefits for the organization. Although, as I've been saying time and again, although the realization of benefit does not fall into the domain of project management, but projects once completed, once they deliver the product, then over a period of time in future, they would realize certain benefits. And that is actually the purpose why the project was undertaken.
That is what the counts towards the project success.
That is?
That is what actually counts towards project success.
Exactly. No, project success has been accomplished. When you delivered your project, it was successful, then you delivered.
I want to relate it to the continued benefit
that is called That is called benefit realization. But you are saying the project success is not the project success. That is the benefit realization. The perceived benefit in long run of the project, like you were told.
Okay, that comes into the program management.
Yes, if there is a program on top of it, if there is no program, still that is the point. Even if there is no program, still the benefit of the project will be realized after some time, and that would not fall in the responsibility of the project manager. That would fall in the responsibility of the person ordering project manager to do this project. He is then responsible to see that it realizes its benefits, even if it is not a program. Every project will have some benefits realized in the long run. That was exactly the reason why the project was initiated. For example, you are given a project to construct a school. To construct a school. Construct a school. Right. What is the benefit of constructing a school? Delivering education. Naturally, you should have specific targets. And in next 5 years or 10 years, these many students should be graduated from this and all that. But that will happen in future. First, the school has to exist. The project has been given to me is just the construction of the school, not the students, not running of the school. That is not my job. I will hand over this product to operations, and they are responsible for running it and realizing those benefits. But the realization of benefit is definitely an objective for which we constructed the school.
I remember I was reading it in the book. It mentioned something about this. The project success, the success of the project should be measured in terms of
project objectives.
Project within the constraints of scope, time, cost, quality, resources, and this as approved between the project managers and the senior.
Yes. And they said
this period, ये जो बात कर रहा था, to ensure realization of benefits for undertaken project. A test period such as a soft launch can be part of the total project time.
Yes, it can. Handing it over to the permanent operation. Okay. ये जो बात है, ये कह रही है can tell a system.
Can have a test period.
Can. Yes.
Can have a test.
Can have a test.
It is not mandatory.
It is not mandatory. Well, if you had to construct a school, you may have been given a target to like BOT, build, operate, and transfer. Yes. BOT is can is used there. This can is applicable there. It's part of the project that you have to run it for 2 years. And then you deliver it.
So we did one of the projects like this.
Okay.
It was very interesting. The Saudi.
Project success should be referred to the last baselines approved by the authorized stakeholders. So success जो है वो आखिरी baseline के ऊपर depend करती है. अगर आखिरी baseline आपकी achieve होती है तो आपकी success declare होगी. Final success. Project is declared successful. लाजिम बात है कि आपकी phase by phase आखिरी phase जब complete होगी that declares your success. Project manager is responsible and accountable for setting realistic and achievable boundaries for the project and to complete the project within the approved baselines. तो अंडरस्टैंडेबल है दोनों चीजें. अच्छा जी, प्रोजेक्ट टीम्स आ जाती हैं. That is within the project. The composition of the project team. Project team includes the project manager, जी मैं बात कर चुका हूँ, and the group of individuals who act together in performing the work of the project to achieve its objective. Project team includes the project manager, project management staff, other team members who carry out the work but who are not necessarily involved with the management of the project. Not necessarily means all of the people working on the project are not managing it. They might be working on it. So the lower class people who are the workers physically, they are not managing, they are working. Moreover, nature ही बोल रहा हूँ, nature की बोल उसके second point बोला ना मैंने. And secondly, In addition to these people, we may have certain subject matter experts, consultants, other people coming in and out of the team, advising us and things like that. Team is comprised of individuals from different groups with specific matter knowledge or with a specific skill set to carry out the work. Structure and characteristic of a project team can vary widely, but one constant is the project manager's role as the leader of the team, regardless of what authority the project manager may have over its members. The team members can change, but project manager is a constant entity. He will be there, he will have some authorities, no matter what level of authority, but some authority level has to be provided to the project manager. So he is a constant, बाकी लोग change हो सकते हैं. Project team includes roles such as, now it is the extended roles, the project management staff, project staff, supporting experts. So these are on and off, coming and going. User and customer representative, especially in projects where you are doing joint applications or, rapid applications. So customer may have to get involved with you. They may be working with you. So in some of the cases, not in all the projects. So they could be in it. Sellers could be working with you, business partners, their members and all that. So these are the people who can be involved. Project management staff itself is responsible. Who are these people? Project management staff. These are the people who help project manager in managing the work of the project and the remaining team. Not PMO. Project management staff means the supervisors, the team leads, assistant project managers, people who help project manager in planning and execution of the project. Assist. So they will help you in activities like scheduling, budgeting, reporting and controlling, communication. These are the extension arms of the project manager. If a project is so small, project manager could have been doing all these things all by himself. But if it is a large project, so, yes, exactly. So size of the project, number of teams, so naturally he will have this project management staff. And projects are the member of team who carry out the work of creating the project objective, deliverables, who actually work on it. Then the supporting experts, these could be from through contract, through financial management, logistics, different areas of expertise, whatever is required for the project, on and off that can be acquired. User and customer representative, members of the organization who will accept the deliverable or the product of the project, may be assigned to act as representatives or liaisons to ensure proper coordination, advise on requirement, and validate the acceptability of project results. For user acceptances, for lot many interactions you may have during the life of the project, those could be defined through these representatives. Then we have the contractors, sellers, vendor, supplier, contractor, whatever, are the external companies that enter into contractual agreement to provide components or services necessary for the project. Project team is often assigned the responsibility to oversee performance and acceptance of sellers, deliverables, or services. So project in government projects, you can take our the construction projects. What we are doing is, what do you think? NHA, National Highway Authority, does it make roads? They just oversee contractors, right? So they are actually they are responsible for overseeing the performance and acceptance of the contractors or sellers and their deliverables and services. जो जाके check करते हैं उसको. If the sellers bear a large share of the risk for delivering the project result, they may play a significant role on the project team. Now this is very interesting. Whenever we outsource a project to a subcontractor, we are giving him the risk. More risk he takes, more he charges, and more he exercises his power. ठीक है ना जी. अगर आप कहें कि जी ये जहाज है हमारा, ये चलाओ भी तुम, उड़ाओ भी तुम, तो लाजमी बात है कि we will enjoy more liberty on it.
These sellers are part of the team.
जैसे आपको सऊदी अरब ने कह दिया ना, सो वही बात होगी. Okay. Then we have business partners. We have discussed about the business partners. Composition of the project team varies based on factors such as the organization culture, scope, and location. Relationship between the project manager and the team varies depending on the authority of the project manager. In some cases, project manager may be the team's line manager, meaning having all the control of the team with full authority over the team, like in the projectized structure. In other cases, project manager may have a little or no direct organizational authority in case of weak and functional matters over the team members, and may have been brought in to lead the project on part-time basis. Part-time कहाँ होता है? Either functional or weak metrics. So you should be able to relate all those things to what we have studied already. Following are the examples of basic team member composition. Some of the members will have to be dedicated. Dedicated are who are assigned to the project and they are nowhere else required. Part-time are who come to project to do certain job and then they go back. So the team in projectized is completely dedicated. Whole of the team is dedicated. In strong metrics, we have got mostly dedicated. And rest of the three cases, the balanced metrics, the weak metrics, and the functional, we have part-time team members. This is explained here. Composition, dedicated. In a dedicated team, all or majority of the project team members are assigned to work full-time on the project. So they are dedicated. Project team may be co-located or virtual, but they are dedicated. They usually report directly to the project manager. This is a simpler structure for a project manager. I'm not saying that this is achievable, but this is a simpler structure. Project manager loves it. He wants to have dedicated control over a team, as the lines of authority are clear and team members can focus on the project objectives. Part-time, some projects are established as temporary additional work with the project manager and team members working on the project while remaining on their existing organization. They are part of the function, but they sometimes come for their work on the project. The functional managers maintain control over the team members and the resources allocated to the project. Project manager is likely to continue performing other management duties. So project manager is also part-time. In these kind of structures, sometimes the project manager is also part-time. And what are those structures? Weak and functional. Part-time team members may also be assigned to more than one project at a time. In a functional organization, you can assign the same resource to work on 2 or 3 projects. And then come back to me. That kind of thing.
But in any case, the project manager would not have another project, would have just one project.
Yes, नहीं होना चाहिए, बिल्कुल नहीं होना चाहिए. A project manager should not have more than one project. तो criminal हो जाता है ना वो तो बहुत ज़्यादा. Dedicated and part-time project team compositions may exist in any of the organizational structures. Dedicated project teams are often seen in projectized, where most of the organization resources are involved in project work and project managers have a great deal of independence. Part-time project teams are commonly within the functional organizations जो मैंने आपसे बात की. Metric organizations use both dedicated and part-time. Other members who have limited involvement at various stages of a project can be thought of as part-time project team members, like the consultants, other people coming and going to the project. Structures, team composition may also vary based on organizational structures. A project may be established as a partnership, joint venture, consortium, or alliance among several organizations through contract and agreement. In that case also, there will be, different colors, different expertise coming from different organizations, not departments this time. This time is a joint venture, so more than one organization are contributing people. So that could also be working part-time or full-time. In this structure, an organization takes the lead, one organization takes the lead and assigns a project manager to coordinate the efforts amongst all the partners. Partnership-based projects can offer flexibility at lower cost. These advantages may be offset by project managers' lower degree of control over the team members, need for strong mechanism for communication and monitoring. Naturally, if you are having different flavors of people, less control will be there. And because those people have come from different organizations, it is more like a functional type of system, that functional control of those people is held by somebody else. So lower degree of control, and you need to have a stronger mechanism of communication. Maybe they speak different languages. Maybe they have got different rules and regulations. So you have to have better control over them. Partnership projects may be set up to exploit industrial synergies, to undertake ventures from that one partner could not afford alone, or for other political or strategic reasons. And probably your example is the best for all of these.
Sir, slide only anywhere I'm trying to find out it.
Team composition, partnership based. Not there?
Team composition there.
This is the next slide. Let me try to. No.
Consequently, team compositions?
Partnership based.
You call it team there, team competition.
Team competition. Let me do it again. This I have
structures.
Structures is a partnership based right now.
Heading into partnership based.
Partnership based. So this I read out to you earlier. Partnership based projects can offer flexibility at lower cost. Many people putting in the resources and you are more flexible. जो भी चीज होगी चाहिए होगी मिल जाएगी. But advantages are offset by the disadvantages are less degree of control over all those people and need for strong mechanism for communication. They're coming from different areas, different organizations, and their communication mechanism and monitoring mechanism could be different. So it has to be standardized. So these are the disadvantages, but the flexibility is a big advantage. So it offsets these disadvantages. Partnership projects may be set up for various reasons like exploit industrial synergies. You do that. To undertake ventures that one partner could not afford alone. We can't afford to do all this, so we take help from others. For other political and strategic reasons. So I was saying all three of these things apply to us. We are doing joint ventures. You're working with some other country for producing a factory or whatever. So you are doing that. Then there is a question of geography. Next slide. Project team composition may also vary due to geographic location of its members. So maybe, although it is best to have your team co-located, all of your members should be together when they are working, but sometimes it's not possible. So maybe, you're working virtually, you are geographically apart, and you have to somehow manage that. So geography matters. Communication technologies allow team members in different locations or countries to work as a virtual team. If the communication technology is available, probably, if not all, but some distance is reduced. On telephone we can talk to somebody, and lot many things are sorted out. Although if they were face-to-face is even better, but still we can function. So video conferencing, telephones and teleconferencing and all that, these various communication technologies allow us to be able to work in virtual teams. Virtual teams are often necessary for projects where resources are located on-site or off-site or both, depending on the project activities. A project manager who is leading a virtual team needs to accommodate differences in culture, working hours, time zones, location conditions, and languages. Actually, this is very well understood when we are working in a multicultural environment, with especially geography as a part. You have to take care of all these things, time differences and all that. If you are calling a meeting, and there is a midnight at some place, that would not be very comfortable for the other person. So I think we finished till project teams today. We take on the project life cycle tomorrow. And that is important where I would like you to be fresh for life cycle. So anything? So let's call it a day then. Shahan.